burst the aperture. A janitor finds a camera in a wall. By dawn, he doesn't exist. By 7:30 a.m., even the proof of his existence has been erased, burned down to nothing by the very photograph that was supposed to save him. 13 hours earlier, the mop bucket squeaked. Gray water sloshed inside the yellow plastic, catching the fluorescent flicker overhead in small, shifting mirrors. Mike Reynolds dragged it across the cracked linoleum of the 6th-floor storage room, his shoulders hunched, his Navy Elite clean jumpsuit riding up at the collar. The light buzzed, rhythmic, hypnotic. Dust motes twisted in the yellow beams like satellites caught in orbit. His hand, calloused, stained with the accumulated grime of 7 years of night shifts, gripped the rusted mop handle. The bristles had grayed years ago. Everything about this room had grayed. Everything about him had grayed. The job paid. The nights were quiet. That was enough. Enough until his shoulder hit the wall. A thud. Hollow. Wrong. Mike stopped. His brow furrowed. He pressed his palm against the beige plaster and felt the give of rotted wood beneath the paint. The panel beneath his hand was loose. He could feel it now, the gap between the trim and the wall, barely visible in the bad light, a dark mouth ready to swallow secrets. He didn't think about it. He just did it. The orange-handled screwdriver came from his pocket. He jammed the flathead into the gap and leaned hard. The wood screamed. Old nails shrieked as they pulled free. The panel splintered, oak fibers cracking and splitting like dried bone. And suddenly, there was a dark cavity, a wound in the wall lined with thick gray cobwebs that looked less like webs and more like time itself. Calcified and dusty, Mike reached into the darkness. His fingers touched cold iron, pitted, old, heavy. He grunted, pulling. The metal box cleared the hole, dragging against stone, scraping, resisting. Rectangular, secured by a rusted padlock that looked like it had been welded shut by decades. The box was so heavy his arm trembled with the weight of it. He smashed the padlock with the butt of the screwdriver. The metal snapped. The sound was gunshot sharp in the quiet room. He flipped the lid. Inside, nestled in rotting black velvet that crumbled at the touch, was a camera. A Polaroid land camera. But wrong. The lens was too large, too deep, with a violet coating that caught the fluorescent light and threw it back as something alien. Tan and black plastic. Heavy. The glass lens was the size of a grapefruit and had depth. Strange, impossible depth. Like looking into a well. Mike picked it up. The weight of it settled in his hands, like a secret he wasn't supposed to know. The night supervisor came around the corner like weather. Sudden and unavoidable. Gary Miller, red-faced, veins popping on his neck like they'd been drawn there specifically to mark him as angry. A clipboard in his left hand, a burning cigarette in his right, spittle flying from his lips as he shouted. Reynolds, I told you that floor needed waxing 2 hours ago. Use your hands for once. His footsteps were rapid on the linoleum. His eyes were already furious before he even saw the camera. That was Gary. Always angry first, looking second. Rapid-fire rage, the kind that didn't need reasons. Mike fumbled with the camera. His thumb, shaking, clumsy, found the heavy red shutter button on the side. He didn't mean to press it. The camera whined. A high-pitched electronic sound, rising in frequency, vibrating through the hallway air like nothing natural. The sound climbed higher and higher. Mike's knuckles went white. His thumb locked rigid against the button. He tried to pull his hand away, but it wouldn't move. The whine became unbearable. Gary's mouth opened wider, about to shout something else. The flash erupted. Not light, an arc. a jagged bolt of blue-white electricity that filled the entire hallway, obscuring everything, burning the world down to a single brilliant point. Static electricity danced on the walls like living things. Then it was gone. Gary was gone. Only the clipboard fell, a hollow clatter on linoleum. The burning cigarette dropped after it, hissing when it hit a puddle of dirty mop water. The uniform, the shoes, the angry red face, all of it simply absent. Not fallen, not lying on the ground, just gone. The space where Gary had been standing was empty, except for the fading smell of smoke and the memory of violence. The camera in Mike's hands was warm, almost hot. A photograph slowly extruded from the slot. The motor whirred. Mike's hand, still trembling, reached out and caught the black square. He held it flat, watching as the image developed, as the chemicals worked their slow magic. The photograph showed the hallway. Empty. No Gary. No sign anything had ever been there. Only the falling cigarette, captured mid-fall. The footsteps in the stairwell were professional. Efficient. Rhythmic. At least 2 people. Heavy boots. The kind of movement that doesn't rush because it doesn't need to. The kind of movement of people who've already won. Mike moved. Instinct before thought. The elevator was 30 feet away. The doors were closing. He could see the button panel inside. He could see the moment when everything became survivable again. Just get inside, press the button, go down, go down, go down. He ran. The elevator doors were sliding shut. He lunged for the gap, his arm extended, and he was almost through, almost safe, when a gloved hand jammed between the doors from inside. Black tactical windbreaker. Professional. The doors ground to a stop. Mike threw his shoulder forward. The attacker swung a heavy maglite flashlight in a tight, brutal arc. The metal casing was solid. It whistled through the air where Mike's head had been a half-second earlier. The flashlight impacted the elevator's button panel instead. Plastic exploded. Sparks danced across the keypad. The elevator's computer screamed an electronic death cry. Mike drove his shoulder into the attacker's chest. They tumbled out onto the marble floor of the lobby. 200 pounds of janitor and 190 pounds of professional operative. The marble was hard and cold. It didn't care about either of them. Mike's camera bag, still slung over his shoulder, dug into his ribs as he rolled. His hand found the camera. His other hand made a fist. He gritted his teeth and kicked. The man's knee made a sound like a crunch of bone, wet, anatomical, wrong. He howled, high-pitched, animal. The glass doors of the lobby were straight ahead, rain beyond them, a fire escape waiting. The attacker was on the ground now, choking on his own scream, and the second one was coming down the stairs, but not fast enough, not fast enough. Mike ran toward the rain. His boots hit the marble floor. 1 step, 2. The glass doors rushed forward. Their handles were cold. He pushed hard and the doors swung open and he burst into the pre-dawn darkness and the pouring rain. A black sedan screamed around the corner. Its headlights blinded him. The tires were shrieking, the engine howling. And for a moment, Mike thought this was it. This was where it ended. Hit by a car in the parking lot of a building where he should have been mopping floors, where he should have stayed invisible and small and quiet. The sedan's brakes locked up. It slid past him, tires smoking, the driver inside staring out through the rain-streaked windshield with an expression of pure confusion. Mike didn't stop running. His apartment was a small thing. Bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, the kind of space designed to be temporary, even if you lived there for 7 years. The kind of space where no one was supposed to matter. Mike sat at his kitchen table and shook. His hands wouldn't stop trembling, not from fear, from the weight of what was coming, from the certainty, deep in his bones, that the world was about to become impossible. He picked up his phone. The screen was cracked from being dropped too many times, pressed between his body and the pavement as he ran. He pulled up his contacts, scrolled to G. Between Frank Hernandez and Harry Klein was nothing. No contact, no history of a contact. The space was empty like it had always been empty, like Gary Miller had never existed, like the brain cells that stored the memory of Gary's name had been chemically wiped. Gary's supervisor was gone. Mike's breathing got shallow. He opened his laptop. His fingers moved across the keyboard with barely controlled urgency. The employee portal, searching. Gary Miller. The screen flickered and displayed, error, user not found. He tried his own name. Mike Reynolds. The loading circle spun. The screen stayed white. Then it flickered again. Nothing. No error message. Nothing at all. On the table, the camera began to whine, not from his hands. It was sitting 10 feet away, and it began to whine anyway. An electronic charging sound, building in frequency, automatic and purposeful. The lens rotated on its own. Click, 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 searching. The purple coating on the glass reflected in the kitchen's harsh fluorescent light, throwing that alien color across the wall like paint spilled from another dimension. Mike lunged for it but couldn't move. Paralysis. The room suddenly too vast, his limbs too heavy. He looked at his hands. They were translucent, not transparent like glass, translucent like old bone. He could see the grain of the wooden table through his skin. The pattern, the growth rings. The wood beneath was becoming more real than his own flesh. His veins appeared as faint glowing blue lines running through empty space. The brick came through the window with the sound of a small explosion. Glass shattered into diamonds. Thousands of sharp fragments. The brick landed on the linoleum and bounced, leaving a crater mark. Behind it, through the broken window, a red laser dot swept across the wall where his head had been. Once. Twice. A third time. They were trying to erase him. Mike dove to the floor, and the laser passed above him and hit the wall and burned a small, perfect circle in the drywall like a stigmata. The fire escape was wet and slick and cold. His boots clanged against the iron. Each footfall echoed down into the alley below like a bell tolling. 2 men in gray suits were right behind him. Their movements were professional, efficient. They didn't rush because they didn't need to. They knew what he was. They knew what was coming. Mike's body was failing. He could feel it. The edges of his vision were starting to fade. Not from exhaustion, but from erasure. The world was forgetting him in real time. He forced his legs to move. The roof was 5 flights up. 4. 3. His chest was burning. His legs were pumping. He could hear the agents behind him, but they weren't rushing because they didn't have to. They could wait. The camera was eating him from the inside out, and all they had to do was follow. He reached the roof and kept running. Gravel crunched under his feet. The rain was heavier now. Sheets of it. The city lights reflected in the puddles like false stars. He ran across the rooftop, his arms pumping, the camera bag still slung over his shoulder, its weight the only thing keeping him tethered to reality. The first agent reached the roof and lunged. His fingers closed around Mike's ankle. Mike fell hard. His chin smashed against the gravel, driving the air from his lungs, and the pain was white-hot and real, and the only thing left that proved he existed. He kicked back with his free leg and connected with something soft. The agent grunted, but didn't let go. They grappled on the gravel. Mike's hand found the camera bag. He swung it, the heavy metal rectangle inside, making it a weapon. And the corner of the camera caught the agent across the temple. The impact was solid, decisive. The agent reeled backward, his eyes rolling. He stumbled toward the edge of the roof, where the world just dropped away into the pre-dawn darkness. The second agent was reaching for his waistband. The pistol was small, professional, silenced. Mike pointed the camera at him. His finger found the shutter. Snap. The purple flash erupted. Intense. More intense than before. The rain froze in the light. Each droplet became visible, crystalline, suspended in the violet arc. The agent was there, and then the world was flash, and then the agent was gone, and his pistol was clattering across the gravel, sliding toward the roof's edge. The first agent, semi-conscious, bleeding, stared at the empty space where his partner had been. Mike was panting, leaning against a chimney. His arm was now completely transparent. He could see through it to the city skyline beyond. His heartbeat was the only thing left that was solid. He found the wallet in the unconscious agent's inner coat pocket. Black leather, brass badge. An ID card with a photo and a name that rewrote everything Mike thought he understood. The name was Deputy Director Gary Miller, Department of Anomaly Retention. The photo was Gary. The same Gary. The one Mike had erased. The ID card began to smoke in his hand. The ink sizzled. It bubbled and dissolved like acid had been poured on it. The photo of Gary faded to white. The plastic began to warp and curl. The edges blackened. It crumbled into ash that scattered in the rain. Mike looked back at the unconscious agent. The man's face was blurring. His features were becoming smooth and featureless. Like a mannequin, like something that had been used up. His clothes were turning to gray ash. The process was moving faster now, not stopping, just dissolving. The body was becoming wind. Mike stood up. The camera was still in his hands, still warm, still waiting. He looked at his arms. Both of them now were nearly translucent, ghost thin. He could see the spark of the city lights through his wrists, see the movement of the clouds through his palms. He was fading, not disappearing. Fading, like a TV signal going bad, like a broadcast being jammed. The rain fell through him and hit the gravel below. The hidden elevator was behind the laundry room on the first floor. A maintenance access, unmarked, the kind of door that wasn't supposed to exist. Mike descended into cold darkness. The elevator descending, the temperature dropping with each floor. Sub-basement. The air became thick and strange. He stepped out into a world of filing cabinets, rows and rows of them, metal, steel, stretching into darkness on all sides like some kind of bureaucratic forest. The air was deathly cold. His breath formed thick, white clouds. The cooling system hummed somewhere deep underground, a massive sound like the lungs of some sleeping creature. His footsteps on the metal grating echoed. He pulled open a drawer labeled Project, Aperture. Every file inside was empty. Blank white pages, thousands of them. Just papers. No information, no meaning. Just the ghost of documentation. Evidence of events that never happened. Records of people who'd been unmade. A man stepped from behind a shelf. Tall, cadaverous. Wearing a pristine white lab coat like he was about to perform surgery instead of genocide. His eyes were hidden behind thick, round spectacles. He held a small digital camera, a modern version of the device Mike was carrying. The red light on it was already blinking. "It's a corrective tool, Mike," the man said. His voice was monotone, educational, the kind of voice used by someone explaining something obvious to a child. "We don't kill people. We simply make it so they never happened. Cleaner, more efficient. The world forgets them. The records delete themselves. By the time you're gone, no one will remember you existed. Not even your mother. The memory will be wiped clean. It's not death. It's correction." Mike lifted the camera. "My name is Director Vane," the man continued, beginning to walk forward. "And that device you're holding is government property. When this is over, it will be returned to its proper place. And you will be corrected." Mike hurled a heavy glass paperweight. Vane ducked, and the paperweight shattered a row of glass specimen jars behind him. Purple gas erupted from the broken containers. Thick, choking. It swirled like liquid smoke. Vane lunged through the gas. His hand reached for the camera. Mike swung his fist. His knuckles caught Vane in the throat. The man staggered, but didn't fall. His face was purple now, either from the gas, or from rage, or from physical trauma. All three. He came forward again, and his hands closed around Mike's jacket. They fell to the floor together. Vane's fingers dug into Mike's shoulder. His grip was ice cold and precise. Where his hands touched, Mike felt the erasure. Not pain. Erasure. The physical mass of his body simply ceasing. His shoulder was becoming nothing. Becoming air. Becoming forgetting. Mike grabbed a heavy industrial stapler from a nearby desk. He swung it with everything remaining in his body. It connected with the side of Vane's head with a sound like a stone striking concrete. The man's glasses flew. They shattered against a filing cabinet. A small streak of blood appeared on Vane's forehead. The grip on Mike's shoulder released. Vane collapsed. The server room was at the center of the archive. Banks of monitors. Cables running like veins. The processing hum of 1,000 calculations happening simultaneously. Mike walked to one of the screens and looked at his own birth certificate. The text was visible. Clear. All the information that marked him as real. That proved he'd been born. That proved he'd existed. As he watched, the text, Michael Joseph Reynolds, simply dissolved into white space. The system was eating him. From the inside out. From the outside in. Every record, every photograph, every memory. The world's collective knowledge of him was being overwritten by nothing. By blank space. By the default. He looked at his hands. They were almost completely gone now. Just outlines. Just the suggestion of form. He could see the server racks through his palms, the blinking LED lights in his chest, the sparks dancing in what used to be his blood vessels. He was a ghost. Less than a ghost. He was the memory of a ghost. And the memory was fading. Mike walked back into the lobby. He placed a stack of empty folders on the reception desk. He positioned the old camera on a tripod, aiming it at the Project Aperture logo on the wall. His body was now just a distortion in the air. A shimmer, the way heat rises from pavement in summer. He pulled a small, cracked hand mirror from his jumpsuit pocket and angled it toward himself. He was going to take a photo of his own ghost and the evidence at the same time. He was going to use the camera's power against itself. The device that erased people would be used to prove that one person had been here, had mattered, had existed. His finger found the shutter. He pressed it. The purple flash erupted, more intense than all the others combined. It filled the lobby. It reflected off the marble and the glass and the steel fixtures until the entire world was violet light. A sound like a mountain of glass shattering simultaneously. The flash expanded outward, consuming everything, burning through record and memory and reality itself. The light was total. The light was absolute. The light was erasing. The new janitor arrived at 7:30 a.m. with a mop and a bucket, and the kind of tired indifference that comes from knowing the building will always be dirty, no matter how hard you clean. She was young, maybe 25. Her name tag said Rosa. She walked into the lobby and stopped. Something was out of place. A tripod. An old camera. The kind of thing her abuela might have owned. It was sitting on the reception desk like it had always been there, like someone had left it behind deliberately. She looked around. The lobby was empty. No one was there. The morning sun was bright and warm, streaming through the glass doors and making everything look normal and safe, and like nothing had changed. Like nothing ever changed. City traffic hummed outside. Birds were chirping. The world was continuing on the way worlds do. Rosa approached the desk. There was a photograph lying beside the tripod. She picked it up. It was a Polaroid, grainy but clear. The lobby exactly as it was now. Except there was a man in the photograph. He was holding a sign. The sign said, "I was here." His eyes were piecing even through the camera grain, even through the distance, even through whatever separation existed between this photograph and reality. She didn't recognize him. She'd never seen him before. He didn't work here. He wasn't part of the building. He was no one. A stranger. A ghost that had somehow made it into the photograph. Rosa shrugged and tossed the photo into the trash bin below the desk. It landed at the bottom with a small sound. As it fell, the image began to fade. The man's face was the first to go. His eyes closed or disappeared or stopped existing. Then his body. Then the sign. The photograph was becoming white, becoming blank, becoming nothing. Within seconds, it was just a black square of plastic. One piece of paper among millions of others. The building continued humming. The cleaning system hummed. The traffic outside hummed. The world spun on. Rosa grabbed her mop and began her rounds. The lobby was dirty. It would need cleaning. It would always need cleaning. No one remembered the janitor. No one remembered the camera. No one remembered the purple flash or the underground archive, or the man named Mike Reynolds, who had tried to prove his own existence using a device designed to erase it. He was gone, and the world had never known his name.